Some automotive legends are born, others are made. And when it comes to the BMW M5, not only was it born a legend, but its legend grew over time. How was it born a legend? That's very simple. Because BMW decided to slap an M1 engine into a four-door sedan. Yes, the M1, which at the time was a race car. In that instant that the M5 was born, it became the fastest production sedan in the world. Now that's how you start off a legend. Then the E34 was born, and today it is one of the most sought after M5s. But then it got even better when the E39 came out. Today it probably is the most loved and revered M5. Things kind of went south, wrong when the E60 launched. Yes, the bangle-butted M5, but even so, even though it was probably the least reliable, most labor-intensive, ugliest M5 ever born, its V10 just sang a song that every enthusiast loved to hear. I remember driving that car in the late 2000s and I couldn't get over how nasty it looked, but it was still an M5 and it was still fantastic. Then came the F10, slightly more reasonable, conservative, and now we have the F90. And this 2021 F90 BMW M5 is not just a regular M5, no, it's a competition. It is the most powerful, the fastest, the most capable, most insane M5 BMW has ever put together. And I absolutely love it. It's not perfect. There are some weird things going on with this car. But for the first time, I'd say since the E39, the M5 badge is on the right car. Let's do our usual walk around and then we'll take it for a spin and we'll talk more about the F90 BMW M5 Competition. Now, one of the main reasons why I feel like I'm once more in the presence of greatness has to do with the F90's styling compared to the F10s. If we just limit it to those two generations, the F90 is far beefier, has more character, more personality in all of its creases, its fascias, front and rear, and that really applies in the case of the M5. The F10 M5 almost could have been mistaken for any regular 5 Series V8, but the F90 M5 is just, I don't know, it looks fabulous. Let's talk pricing now. In Canada, the M5 is only available as a competition, or starts as a competition, I should say, priced from $122,000. In the US, there's such a thing as a base M5 for $103,500. If you want the competition package, it's an extra $7,600 in the US. Now, the base M5 includes twin 12.3-inch displays. It has that carbon fiber reinforced plastic roof, which is very cool because no one wants a sunroof, at least I don't. The competition package itself does add 17 horsepower over the base 600. You get 20-inch wheels, high gloss black trim all over the place. You can see it especially in the front there with the, how can I put it, reasonably sized kidney grille. It's got the M Sport exhaust, M Sport seats, all kinds of other stuff. Now, my tester, this particular M5 competition features, well, the ultimate package, which is $21,500. Anyway, look, it adds the soft closed doors, laser lights, and massaging seats, Bowers & Wilkins audio, full merino all over the place. It's all nice stuff, but it takes away, in my opinion, from the M5's raison d'être, if you'll pardon my French. But my tester also has another option, which is the M Performance titanium exhaust with these carbon tips. Wow, that's a $6,000 option in Canada. Anyway, with a few other things, including the M Performance brakes with the red calipers, $150,250. The thing is, it looks like $150,000, but it doesn't at the same time, because that's typical M5. If you know, you absolutely know and understand what this car is all about. There is, you know, in the usual walk around, there is a trunk there. Little tasteful aero add-ons. I absolutely love that. I guess I can show you the interior. Look, a few nice touches that you wouldn't expect maybe in an M5, but you know, shades, which are great. No, the kid seats are not in there because this is my personal transportation for the week. But the merino leather is absolutely fantastic, and points are awarded for the belts. I'm not actually sat back there, and I don't intend on doing that. Once you get in, right here, look, quick word, look, fit, finish, styling. I mean, this is ultra mega premium luxury, and you get the sense that you're getting something that is ultra high end. These seats are absolutely insane, and just for that, the price of admission is accepted. More details that everyone loves. Oh, I have no idea what these carpets cost to replace, but I'm sure they're about the price of my Golf. Anyway, let's start her up. Car's a little warm right now, so you couldn't really hear the exhaust, but there's your typical 12.3-inch display up front. This is the amazing 12.3-inch display, the touchscreen display, and it's already on the menus for the various drive modes, and I do mean various. So unlike, say, the X4M or X3M, there are only two buttons here. You have modes and you have setup. So setup brings you to this exact screen. You can see it's written right there, and you can on the fly modify individually whatever it is you want. You can also choose mode. So this brings you to these three modes. All right, but that's not all. Yes, you have to keep pressed to get to track. I'm not sure how long. There we go. Got it. Went back too fast. And then there are also these two programmable M drive modes. So I have M1 set in my usual chassis set at comfort. There it is. And the engine / powertrain set to sport. And M2, which you have to confirm to make sure that that's what you really want to do, is total balls out mode, which I haven't really used because I live in the city and there's no track available for me to beat this car on. Not that BMW would allow it, but anyway, that's that. Everything else is very typical BMW. I mean, I love every detail in this car. It's just absolutely fantastic. That button has to be on all the time. Anyway, it's really about the drive modes. Here's the park button. This is how you vary the shift patterns or intensity. That's reverse, just in case you wanted to know. And that's your drive, and that's if you go to sports. So back to park. Anyway, that's about it as far as the M5 is concerned. Now is time to go for a drive. Oh, and yes, you can switch this to two-wheel drive by disabling the stability control. Enough said, time for a spin. Look, why buy a BMW M5 if not for the power and the speed? Right? That's what this car is all about, and well, it has so much of both. A twin power, twin turbocharged 4.4 liter V8 produces 617 horsepower. Well, 17 over the regular M5, 10 less than the CS, but we'll leave that for another review. And that power comes in at 6,000 RPM. It also produces 553 pound-feet of torque from 1,800 RPM to 5,690. So essentially, once you get close to, say, a tick above idle, this thing is full on, balls out, ready to take off. And it does. in the blink of an eye, you're in a different time zone. 0 to 100 kilometers per hour is 3.3 seconds, but it feels so much faster than that. I mean, the thrust is insane and sustained and incessant. It's incredible. It's just unbelievable. Compared to the M8 Competition Grand Coupe I drove last winter, it seems so much faster, so much more responsive. It is very possible. Acadian, wow. It is possible that my brain was half frozen at that time. But it's a bullet, and combined to the V8 is this 8-speed M-Steptronic transmission, which, I mean, you get the impression that the two are built from the same mold, as in one mold for both. They are so in tune with each other. It's incredible. The engine can be absolutely docile. So can the transmission. It glides from one gear to another as though nothing. And then, well, you know, the throttle goes down, hits the firewall, or nearly, and suddenly you're dropped 4 or 5 gears and you're, you know, practically facing the sky as you take off. It's unbelievable. The powertrain in this car is epic, I guess. I'll use the word epic. Apologies. Also pretty impressive is the chassis. I mean, like most M cars and ultra high powered AMG cars, everything is dialed at 9.5 out of 10 to start. But the dynamic dampers and the M adaptive suspension, I mean, they give you everything you need from it, except for, even in comfort mode, actual comfort. But I can deal with it somehow. It works for me. It's comfortable. I mean, if mostly because the amount of grip in the car is unbelievable. The way it stays flat, even on off-camber corners that you think you're gonna fly right off, the car just tells you you're fine, you're good. Like I said, I mean, the roll is kept to a minimum, if at all. It feels artificial, but it feels so good at the same time. It's reassuring. Now there's just, and the tires just work so well too. The amount of mechanical grip, you can feel it. It's just right under you, and it keeps you, well, it keeps the shiny side up as much as possible, no matter what. Like I said, it's not very comfortable, but look, if you like doing twisties like this, this car, despite its size and its weight, and the fact that it doesn't have 50-50 weight distribution, as you would expect from a BMW, it's like 54 and change, 45 and change, it's still fabulous. But there is one huge, enormous caveat to all of that. And even now, after a few hours of continuous driving on these types of roads, and a few days of driving the car in all conditions, in the city, on the highway, country lanes, all of that, I'm still struggling with, and that's the M Servotronic electric power steering. It's confused, or worse, it wants to do the thinking for you. For example, I'm about to take a mild left, curve. I dial it in. Okay, I dial in 2 degrees, and Servotronic wants to give me, say, an extra 50% of assistance. So that means it's horrible, because that makes me think I'm getting used to it a little bit more, but I still can't be progressive and smooth. So it wants to give me more assistance, which is horrible. So I back off. As I back off, I lose assistance. I fall into some kind of lull, like a dead on-center feel. There's also another thing going on too. It's the MX drive with the active differential. All kinds of things are going on in this car. But to make sure that you're still going, forward momentum and all that power is put to the right wheels into good use. But the steering, if I get back to that, as I back off, I fall into a hole, and then as I begin to correct, it once again wants to give me more assistance. There is no progression in the way steering input is taken, processed, and delivered. I have a really, really hard time. And this is no matter if it's in comfort or sports, as far as steering is concerned. I mean, if you've taken any driving lessons, high performance driving lesson, you know that, right, slow inside, fast outside, you have to be smooth and very linear in your moves. And that's just nearly impossible. I have seemed to have come to an impasse where there's construction. Oh, well, I guess I'll go back to the curves. That's okay. At lower speeds, as I'm doing right now, it's not that bad, obviously, because speeds are low and there's no weight shifting, there's nothing else going on. But as soon as speed reaches, say, 50 kilometers an hour, that's when it starts messing with you. I can't take a nice progressive corner without having to make minor, constant corrections. And that's just absolutely terrible. And for that reason alone, I mean, it's just a software issue. Obviously, it won't let me. It just won't let me do what I want it to do. And it's nothing to do with the safety systems because they're nearly all deactivated. Anyhow, so steering I find completely off on this car. Very disappointing. And what's more is that I also have a Honda Civic Type R at home this week. And it shouldn't be 10 times better or more enjoyable, rewarding to drive or to steer than a BMW M5. I think we'll agree that, the M5 should have the upper hand here, but it seriously doesn't. I can't do it. I mean, the tires, it's not the road surface because it can be smooth, it can be grainy, or it can be perfectly flat as it is right now. I mean, it can be, I don't know what it is. It's not the tires. I'm pretty sure it's not the tires. It can't be. I don't know if you probably can't see it on screen, but it's like the wheel is constantly moving. Anyhow, enough of that. This car is still fantastic, but I wouldn't buy it until BMW delivers some kind of software update for the Servotronic.